All right, listeners, ready for another deep dive with us?
Always ready to dive in.
Haha. I like that attitude. Well, today we're going to be tackling something pretty big.
Definitely big and complex.
Yeah, exactly. Cosmopolitanism. So we're going to be trying to unpack what it actually means
Yeah,
to be a citizen of the world.
right.
And we got a ton of sources.
We do.
We've got stuff from ancient Greek philosophers to modern thinkers and organizations.
All grappling with that idea. What does it mean to be a citizen of the world?
Yeah, and is it even possible?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it just this kind of pie in the sky concept, or can it actually,
Idealistic.
yeah, idealistic,
Yeah.
or can it actually be put into practice? So,
Well, I think a good place to start might be with defining what
yeah.
cosmopolitanism is.
Okay, so let's break it down.
What are the core tenets of
Yeah.
this concept?
Mm-hmm.
So, at its heart, we're talking about global unity,
Okay.
recognizing our interconnectedness as human beings.
Okay, so that idea that we're all connected,
Yeah.
regardless of, where we live or
Right.
our background or anything like that.
Exactly. And with that comes the idea of a universal morality.
Okay.
So a set of ethical principles that apply to everyone everywhere.
So things like human rights and
Exactly.
sustainability,
Yeah.
those kind of big
Those big picture issues
picture, yeah.
that go beyond my country first.
Right. It's not about putting your country first necessarily. It's about
It's about seeing those global challenges as our challenges,
right.
not just someone else's problem.
Mm-hmm. So then how does that work with all the different cultures and values that exist
That's a great question.
around the world? I mean, how can you have one set of morals that applies to everybody?
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting because cosmopolitanism doesn't try to erase those differences.
Okay.
In fact, it embraces them. It recognizes the value of cultural pluralism,
Okay.
of learning from each other, especially when we disagree.
So it's about kind of figuring out how to live together, even though we have these different perspectives.
And I think another key piece of this is how cosmopolitanism challenges the idea of nationalism.
Okay.
And it's not that national identity is bad.
Right.
It just questions whether national interests should always come before global concerns.
Okay, so it's not saying get rid of your national identity, but it's just saying maybe
Maybe.
we should think more broadly.
Yeah. Put
Yeah.
those global concerns at the forefront as well.
Interesting. Now this whole citizen of the world concept, this isn't new.
Oh, absolutely.
This has been around for a while, right?
I mean, the term itself is often attributed to Diogenes.
Diogenes.
Yeah, way back in the 4th century BC.
Wow, so that's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
Ancient Greece we're talking about.
Yeah, and even before him, the Stoics were big on this idea of reason as a unifying force
Okay.
for humanity.
So they thought that everyone could kind of come together through.
Yeah, they believed that at our core, we're all part of this
Yeah.
grand rational cosmos.
Okay, interesting. So these ideas have been around for a long time, but fast forward to today,
Right.
it feels like they're more relevant than ever.
I think so too.
We've got globalization,
Yeah.
we've got climate change, we have instant communication all over the world.
Yeah.
So do these ancient ideas, are they actually equipped to deal with the modern mess?
Yeah, are they up to the task?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not everyone thinks that cosmopolitanism is the answer.
Okay.
There are some critics who argue that it's just too idealistic.
Too idealistic.
It ignores the realities of power and self-interest in the world.
Right. It's like in a perfect world, sure, we'd all get along and we'd all work together.
Right.
But
The real world.
yeah, in the real world, that's not necessarily how things go.
Yeah, you've got leaders who are trying to protect their own interests.
Mm-hmm. And their own turf. Yeah, okay, so that's one of the criticisms. Are there any other criticisms that people bring up?
Yeah, another concern is about the potential for cultural homogenization.
What does that mean?
So the idea that we all end up wearing the same clothes, eating the same food.
Oh, so loss of cultural identity.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I think that kind of misses the point.
Okay.
Cosmopolitanism isn't about erasing differences.
Right.
It's about finding ways to bridge them,
Okay.
to connect across those differences.
Mm-hmm. So how do we actually do cosmopolitanism?
Yeah.
I mean, it can't just be about thinking good thoughts about humanity.
No, it's got to be more than that.
Yeah. What are some examples of it in action?
Well, I think a great example is the United Nations,
Okay.
right? Striving for peace cooperation, upholding human rights.
Yeah.
It's all about tackling global issues through collective action.
So that's one example. What about all those NGOs
Absolutely.
that are out there working across borders on issues like poverty and healthcare?
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge part of it as well.
Yeah, and then there's also like the rise of global citizenship education, where you're
Yes.
actually like teaching young people about.
Yeah, fostering that sense of interconnectedness and responsibility.
So it's happening on all these different levels,
Yeah,
from like these big international organizations to.
to grassroots movements.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Um, but how do we navigate that tension between like the universal principles
Right.
and then like the reality of, you know.
The messy reality of cultural differences.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's where I think the concept of rooted cosmopolitanism comes in.
Rooted cosmopolitanism.
Okay.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, so philosopher Kwame Anthony Appiah
Okay.
talks about this. How we can be citizens of the world while also valuing our local identities,
Okay.
our roots.
So it's not an either.
Right.
It's like
It-
both. How do we do both?
Exactly. And he argues that it's precisely our differences,
Okay.
our unique perspective,
Yeah.
that can enrich our understanding of a shared humanity.
Mhm.
It's through dialogue, through encountering those different ways of life, that we can refine our own moral compass
Mm-hmm.
and contribute to a more just and equitable world.
So cosmopolitanism, it sounds like it's more than just a philosophy.
Yeah, it's a call to action.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we have this philosophy, but now what are we going to do?
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
It challenges us to think differently about our place in the world,
Mm-hmm.
to recognize our shared humanity, and to act accordingly.
Yeah, so for all of you listening out there,
Yeah,
here's a question for you.
a question to ponder.
Yeah, if you buy into this whole citizen of the world thing, what does that actually mean for your life?
How can you,
Yeah.
in your own unique way,
Yeah, what can you do?
contribute to building a more cosmopolitan world?
Yeah, because there's not one right answer.
There's not.
You know, it's going to look different for everybody.
But it's a question worth asking.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was a lot
It was a lot.
to think about.
Cosmopolitanism.
Big topic.
Yeah.
But we're going to leave you there
Yeah, leave you with that question.
to ponder.
Hey.
And we'll catch you guys on the next deep dive.
See ya.
Bye.